The time that Tracy Mcgrady scored 33 points in 33 seconds to come from behind and win the game by 1 point against the Spurs has been documented very well on YouTube, but I don't think it was ever documented like this. So keep watching and make sure to take in all these details because this situation has never been shown like this before. Before we get into the video, please consider subscribing, hitting the like button and the notification bell so you can get notified about every new video I make. Thank you for being here, and let's get into it. No one knew that on December 9th, 2004, there would be an amazing moment. 33 seconds of an NBA game that would go down in history as one of the greatest moments ever to be talked about for years. This happened 17 years ago and is still an incredible feat while being watched by new and old NBA fans. I personally have seen the highlights of these 33 seconds so many times it's hard to count. But I did not know anything about the behind-the-scenes stuff, what was said after by coaches and players, and what the moments leading up to those 33 seconds were. Let me show you what I'm talking about, and be sure that you've never seen any take so in-depth on this moment of T-Mac's career.
Breaking news to tell you about at this hour. We are waiting for a news conference to begin at any moment at Toyota Center.
The good times are going to roll now in Houston.
I got a question, man. I want to know if y'all like this every night. Yo, my 7 years, man, I have never, ever seen anything like this. I appreciate the love. I'm glad to be a part of this. I'm looking for great things.
Tracy Mcgrady has been playing in his 8th season. He was a veteran that spent 3 seasons in Toronto and 4 seasons in Orlando. Now he just arrived in Houston in a 7-player deal. The deal sent Tracy Mcgrady, Juwan Howard, Tyronn Lue, and Reese Gaines to Houston for the likes of Stevie Francis, Cuttino Mobley, and Kelvin Cato to the Magic. Mcgrady was coming off a 28-point-per-game season in Orlando and was the main piece of that side of the trade. He was unhappy with the Magic and wanted out. Steve Francis has been coming off of a poor season for his standards at the time, averaging 16.6 points in 40 minutes per game in Houston. The other piece here that made up for that was Cuttino Mobley, a very crafty guard from Orlando who averaged 15.8 points per game, also in about 40 minutes. The rest of the pieces I consider throw-ins. Sorry. After the 28-point-per-game season in Orlando, Mcgrady's start to the season in Houston was underwhelming. He was averaging 21.5 points per game and shooting about 40.7% from the field in his first 17 games. He did not dress for 2 games up to that point because of a strained hip flexor and groin injuries. Those same injuries bothered him in Orlando the year before. In that December 9th game against the San Antonio Spurs, Mcgrady would finally shake off the rust and come up with one of the greatest moments in the league's history. This was against a team that would win the NBA title that year and had one of the best on-ball one-on-one defenders in the league in Bruce Bowen. At the start of Mcgrady's outburst in that game, which was a defensive seesaw, the score was low, with San Antonio leading 76-68. Houston was down by 8 points when T-Mac all of a sudden became unstoppable. The day after the game, the Houston Chronicle said this: Jeff Van Gundy kept shouting, "There's still time, there's still time." But there were just seconds and not many of those. Well, Mcgrady went to work. The first thing that happened was Mcgrady hitting a 3-point bomb over Malik Rose, a very good and tough defender and a valuable player for the Spurs. That happened with 35 seconds to go and cut the Spurs' lead to 5 points at 76-71. Next, Devin Brown hits 2 clutch free throws and the lead is up 78-71. T-Mac brings up the ball looking for an opening. He loses Bowen on the screen and has Tim Duncan in front of him, who switched with Bowen and came up as T-Mac's defender. Tracy fakes a shot from 3, gets Duncan in the air, and while being hit, chucks the ball up, which goes in from 3. There is a foul called, and the crowd erupts. Tim Duncan is in disbelief of what just happened, but he doesn't know that this is just the beginning. T-Mac said this about faking out Duncan on that play. "I knew he thought I was going to pull up when I came off that screen. I knew I could bait him on the pump fake. He went for it. I don't know how I got the ball off. After that, every time I came up to the court, I felt whatever I shot would go in." 78-74 now, with McGrady stepping up to the foul line for a very important free throw. Free throw goes in all net and the Spurs call time, 78-75 on the scoreboard. Out of the timeout, the Spurs inbound the ball into the backcourt into Tony Parker's hands, who brings it up, passes to Devin Brown, and then to Duncan, who gets fouled. Duncan sinks both free throws. Timeout Houston. Score 80-75, San Antonio leads by 5. After the timeout, McGrady comes off a Yao Ming screen. Without hesitation, McGrady drives right on Bowen and pulls up for a 3 and hits. 2-point game. Again, timeout Spurs. Out of the timeout, Brent Barry inbounds the ball to Devin Brown, who turns baseline, falls, and loses the ball. McGrady picks up the ball and sprints down the floor as quickly as he can. You can see Tim Duncan sprinting back and watching over his shoulder for T-Mac in case he decides to take it to the hole. T-Mac was not thinking about tying the game. He said this after the game. "I knew we were down 2, McGrady said. The only thing I was thinking about was a 3. I didn't want to get the ball and try to tie the ball game up. I was going to take my chances, going for the 3 and going for the win." McGrady pulls up on the left side over Brent Barry, holding a hand up, and Tony Parker right on his side. The shot goes in. The building explodes and McGrady pumps his fist. 1.7 seconds remaining. Duncan inbounds to Parker, but the shot falls short and Houston wins in unbelievable fashion. Devin Brown's face says it all. It's amazing how that went down, but there are a few stories after it happened which are worth mentioning. First, Ming credited himself for giving the ball to T-Mac with 35 seconds left.
"Remember, give the ball to him when there's 35 seconds left."
Ming also told a story of what he told his neighbor who turned off the TV before all of this went down. He said to the neighbor that him and McGrady scored 15 points in the last minute to win the game. Ming was a very upbeat guy and jokes were part of his personality. There was also an interview with Jeff Van Gundy and what he was thinking after that game. This is what he said after this miracle of a finish.
But first of all, this isn't against, we had played such a horrible game up until this point, and the shots you're seeing, they look like, oh yeah, okay, I remember that. This is against Bruce Bowen, Tim Duncan, the elite of the elite. It was a joke.
Not many people know this as well, but during the fourth quarter of this game, McGrady was forced into the locker room with stomach pains. A Rockets guard, Bob Sura, said, "We got a chance to see firsthand why he's one of the greatest players in the world. To pull something like this out, amazing. It's unbelievable." While being asked how such a thing could happen, Greg Popovich responded, "How the hell do I know?" Bruce Bowen called T-Mac magical after the game. There are not many moments like this in the NBA. At least every season there are not. There are some in the history of the league that are similar, like the Reggie Miller 8 points in 8 seconds against the Knicks and more. Maybe I make this a series. Let me know in the comments if you would like me to start a series like this on this channel. I hope you enjoyed this video and hit that like button. Thank you for watching and please consider subscribing and supporting me making these videos. I appreciate your time and hope to see you in the next one.